even starting a new relationship, going to a new school, starting a new job, you're going on faith, so it's scary. That's where that fear starts to creep in. That fear starts to say, what if you fail? Yeah. What if people criticize you? What if you run out of money? There's so many little things that start interjecting into our head. That's why we wanted to talk about this today and take inventory on what's going on in our heads. Is it real or is it fear? Is it just something we're making up?
And I think it's super cool that we can boil down fear, like all of the things that we all worry about collectively, into 6 categories.
6 basic fears.
6 basic fears.
This is the Dream Chasers Show. What's going on, everybody? This is Eric and Kate with the Dream Chasers, and today we've got kind of a different topic that we're going to be talking about. It's a little bit heavier than our normal ones, but we're excited to go over it.
It's so heavy.
It's heavy. Picture like a bodybuilder pushing like crazy amounts of weight. It's heavy.
Oh, I just thought of like being smushed by like a big block. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, that is.
It's weird. A scary place to be inside my head.
It is.
Yeah, you don't even know.
No.
But I'm scared for myself. But we're going to be talking about a lot of that too. Stuff that goes on your head.
Mm-hmm. The stuff that we tell ourselves.
Uh-huh.
The stuff that we can make up in our heads.
Yeah. Even just the conversations that we have, like the unaware thinking of day-to-day activities. Things that we tell ourselves, the conversations that you have in your head. Mm-hmm. And don't pretend like you don't have them, because we all do. We just, a lot of times we don't pay attention to it.
Yeah. There was I forget the exact statistic, but it was something to the ballpark of the average person has like 75,000 thoughts a day, and 90 to 95% of those thoughts are the same as yesterday's. Isn't that wild? So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today, is what's going on inside of your head, right? What kind of thoughts are you having?
What's in your head?
It's like Kate's favorite song.
That is my favorite song.
And so today's topic we're going to be diving into is called Faith or Fear. That is our motto, actually, in the Dream Chasers. We've got it stitched on the back of our hats. We're putting it on our shirts. It's faith or fear. And we want to talk about why that is, because that's been a catapult to our journey, this full-time RV lifestyle, the podcast, starting our own business, and just living this dream life, chasing it down like a cheetah chases an animal. If you're not doing this right now, wake up, because you hear this all the time. We hear, oh, you only have so much time. Life is short.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's true. Every day the seconds are ticking by, and every day that you waste and moments that you waste not attacking something you really love, chasing your dream, is another moment wasted.
And time is your greatest asset.
Not money.
Not money.
Not money.
Or your health.
You can always get more money.
Yep.
You can always try to improve your health, but you cannot get more time back.
Exactly. And once time's run out, it's gone.
Gone.
It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
All right, guys. The topic again here is faith or fear, and let's dive into this topic.
Okay.
So I think one thing that's important to understand is this concept of good or bad, positive versus negative, faith versus fear.
The yin and the yang.
Right. It's the yin and the yang. Mm-hmm. Where one is found, the other can't be.
Yep.
Right. And where the other one's found, the other one can't be. They don't coexist together. It's light and dark.
Yep.
So the scientific part of me thinks of it like this. It's like physics, where they say matter is everywhere. Like if there's an absence of matter, it's a vacuum, and it'll suck up something to basically fill that void. Mm-hmm. So you can either have faith or you can have fear. You can't have both. So where one is lacking, the other one's going to be found, and vice versa.
And when we're talking about faith, it's not like what most people say of like, oh, I have faith, I believe in God, or you know, that's not. It's having faith that you have a purpose in life, and that you're meant to do something in life, and that whatever you put your mind to, it will work out. Like, it's just having faith, knowing that whatever you're embarking on, whatever your situation, whatever,
that you will succeed.
Yes.
Right. That you will succeed.
Right.
Because faith is you're trying to find something in the future that you can't even see. You're going on faith. Like,
yeah.
Let's say, I always use this example, but starting a business, you have no clue what's going to happen. You're going on faith. Mm-hmm. You're going on faith. And
All
Fear,
the stats in the world can tell you that you could be a successful business person, but you really have no idea
you
until
have no clue.
Yeah.
Even starting a new relationship, going to a new school, starting a new job, you're going on faith, so it's scary. That's where that fear starts to creep in. That fear starts to say, what if you fail? What if people criticize you? What if you run out of money? There's so many little things that start interjecting into our head. That's why we wanted to talk about this today and take inventory on what's going on in our heads. Is it real or is it fear? Is it just something we're making up?
And I think it's super cool that we can boil down fear, like all of the things that we all worry about collectively, into 6 categories.
6 basic fears.
6 basic fears.
And for reference, we're getting this out of a book. It's called Think and Grow Rich. I talk about it all the time. It's one of the epitomes of self-improvement.
You've read this thing like 32 times.
Yeah, it feels like it. But and as this guy that he interviewed and studied thousands of successful and non-successful people, and he pulled out these like traits and from each one, he said, okay, this is what I boiled it down.
These successful people, Carnegie, Vanderbilt,
Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, just a bunch of them. And then he also interviewed the failures. But he found in there that there was a seed of about 6 basic fears that everybody has either experienced in their life or suffers from at a high degree. And we're going to break those down. And when we do, I want you to know that anybody listening, we're not coming at this at you're scared of this, get over it, quit being a baby. We're coming at it from, hey, do some real self-analysis here and think to yourself, which one of these 6 am I suffering from? Is it 1, 2? Is it all 6? How do I overcome it? Is it something in my own head that's creating this fear? Not even there. Yeah. In fact, he calls them the ghosts of fear because most of the time we make it up in our own head. And I can't help but think of like when we're kids and we're scared of a scary movie, when we're scared of a clown or a monster coming out of the closet, it's totally made up in our heads and it paralyzes us.
It's funny that you should bring that up because at the beginning of this podcast, I said that, there's a heavy rock. I was afraid. I watched a movie when I was younger. And this huge giant boulder fell on this person and he ended up dying. I don't know why. I don't know the physics behind it, but I was afraid of having a giant boulder land on me, like when I was a kid. Yeah. And it like paralyzed me.
Just scared of boulders. Yeah. So you probably couldn't go next to mountains and cliffs and things.
No, good thing we lived in the plains and there was no rocks nearby. But yeah, I was like terrified of that. And it's just something that I made up in my head.
Right, or that you saw or heard about. And then, and you
still
never
to this
experienced.
day, I look at rocks and I get a
little bit nervous. Oh my gosh. Kid, it's just a pebble. Okay. So let's list off the 6 fears and we're going to dive into them briefly. And as you listen, I urge people to just assess yourself and say, hey, which one of these am I affected by? So there's the fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of a loved one, fear of old age, and the fear of death. So upon me first discovering this, I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. I'm not that scared of these things. But as I started to read more, I was like, whoa, okay.
I feel like read more and also sit with yourself in it too. Like really dissect, have the conversations in your head. Like, how does the fear of poverty play out to my day-to-day life? How deeply rooted is this fear? And how does it control what I do day in and day out? The fear of poverty is a huge one.
It is. I think a lot of these fears kind of stem from when we're kids. So like when I grew up, we weren't in poverty, but certainly there was always that scare. Like, what if we can't make this payment? What if we can't afford this, can't afford that? I heard that a lot and from both in my family and outside. But when you can't afford something or you're afraid of not being able to make payments, that's where some serious dark things come out of, like not being able to actually afford something. That's where theft and all these bad things come about. Gambling, trying to make a little bit of money to pay something. And it causes humans to do some things you wouldn't otherwise do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I also think I can't help but think, because I've done this before, work at a job I hate. But I never looked at it like I'm afraid to be in poverty. But if you really think about it, if you absolutely hate your job and you just despise your boss and you get 1 week off a year,
Why are you there?
why are you there?
Mm-hmm.
And we're there because we're scared of not having money. Well, we have to pay the bills. There's a fear there.
Yeah.
And imagine quitting that job when you're living paycheck to paycheck to start a business on faith. Nothing but faith. It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's a terrifying experience.
Certainly don't recommend you to quit your job with paycheck to paycheck. Just
Yeah.
start a business. Maybe have a little bit of business like planning before that.
Right.
Have a few months reserves. Have a business plan. But it is. I mean, it's possible. That's what's keeping a lot of people back from chasing their dreams is the fear of poverty.
That was number one on the list.
Yes.
And that was huge for us. When we started our real estate team, we were scared. I mean, we were scared out of our wits. But
still scared. To this
still
day.
scared. Yeah. To this day is like there's bills to pay and.
Yep.
But somehow you just keep going on that faith that it's going to work out. It's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got nobody telling you that, you got to tell yourself that.
Right.
It's going to be okay. We're going to make it. Kate and I have this there are times where we're like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but somehow we pull it off every time. And
we rely on our faith too. So when we talked about faith earlier, like we are Christians. We believe that God provides for us, and in the Bible, it states that God will provide for us.
Ask and he shall receive, seek and he shall find.
Mm-hmm. And we found that to be true over and over again. Like the more that we lead by faith and take faith, God does provide for us. Instead of being scared and not going after our dreams and not doing these things that our heart is burning to do. If we chose fear for that, it wouldn't work. But we've done it time and time again, choosing faith, chasing our dreams, and God's provided.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even if somebody listening to this isn't religious, that it's not that it wouldn't work. Faith in that you just have faith that something's gonna work out. You have faith that you're gonna be able to do it. You believe in yourself. I think that at some point it's good to assess your religion, if you want to call it that. Look into the Bible for answers, because there's a lot of amazing answers in there for life's hardships. You said it perfectly. We're people of God, but I would hate for somebody to just shut this off because they don't believe in God.
Right.
The faith we're talking about is just knowing that things are going to be okay. You're going to push through it. You're going to make it. Mm-hmm. Keep going, because if you doubt it and you let the negativity and the fear and the doubt seep in, you can't succeed. A person cannot succeed when their cup is full of oil and just darkness and, for lack of better words, a horrible mindset. It's going to pull you down. Mm-hmm. You got to have that faith. You've got to have the positivity. You've got to go for it. You've got to just really chase your dream.
So the next one is fear of criticism. Boy, oh golly gee, don't we all suffer from this one?
Yeah. Think about what's the number one fear is public speaking. And it's because we're afraid of what people might think. Mm-hmm. We're afraid of if we screw up.
Afraid of saying the wrong thing and then thinking about that thing for like weeks and years and you never letting that go. Been there, done that.
I suffer from this one and with our videos and stuff. Believe it or not, anybody like that watches our stuff, there's times where I'll refilm it 3, 4, 10 times because I'm afraid of what other people think.
It's annoying.
It isn't. It's annoying to me too.
Yeah.
But look at how much it holds me back from really saying what I want to say.
I know. And saying it the first time, because chances are you probably nailed it the first time, like with raw, authentic emotion and energy and bringing all this vibrance to it the first time. And then you get scared. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I wonder what Susie's going to think. We don't know any Susies. But I wonder, I hope this doesn't offend anybody or come off as arrogant or a jerk and here you go, re-recording it.
Yeah. I remember I heard somebody say this, it stuck with me. Don't be concerned with who you might offend. Be concerned with who you might inspire. Don't be concerned with who you might offend. Be concerned with who you might inspire. Again, you got that negative and positive, offensive or inspiring. We want to be the type of people that are in that positive, inspiring thing. That's what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
Because that's what moves mankind.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Whew. Just got the chills.
Yeah.
Number 3, the fear of ill health. Ooh, yeah. Have you ever heard like that people can actually think themselves into sickness?
Absolutely.
Isn't that nuts?
That's where like the placebo thing comes in. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you take a pill that's just water and you believe it to actually work, and it starts working because you believe it to be true. You have that faith.
Yeah.
Or the opposite is true. Hypochondriacs, where everything is just happening to them, and they have this disease and that disease, and ADD and ADHD and ADRQ and LMNOP. Right? If you believe it, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. And if that gives you any indication, like the fear of all of these things, like if you fear criticism, you're probably going to get more criticism. If you fear poverty and you keep thinking, I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be poor, you're probably going to be poor. Like, yeah. So it's like switching the mindset to think like, instead of the lack of, focusing on the positive. Because if you keep focusing on darkness, you're going to see darkness. But if you focus on light, you're going to see light.
Right.
So
I love that. You nailed it. Nice. I think like the fear of ill health was very apparent during COVID.
yes.
And actually, I should say this disclaimer: we are not discrediting legitimate illnesses that are diagnosed by doctors, right? But what we're talking about here is the mental illnesses, the telling yourself that you have this disease, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if you actually have a real disease or an illness, by all means, be seen by a medical professional.
Right.
But also know that a lot of this stuff can be cured by just having the right attitude about it. In COVID, during COVID, that was a perfect example of fear of ill health. I mean, look at how much everybody freaked out. And there was a lot of misconception and not even real information that we didn't have when it all started. And everyone just lost it. I mean, we just lost it. Threw the masks on. We looked at people like they were Satan themselves. Stay away from me. And everybody.
And then if someone coughed, or if you started getting a cough, you're like, oh my gosh, I have it. And in fact, like I remember in my journal reading through those things where we were about to go on a cruise 3 years ago. And a few weeks prior, I was journaling about, oh, I'm sick. We must have
be getting
COVID.
it. Yeah, here it's just like a common cold.
Exactly. And it wasn't. It was nothing. Like,
right.
but here, like, it just kept getting worse and worse, and it drug on for like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I journaled about that stupid thing for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real. If you don't believe, I mean, really, again, sit and analyze yourself and think, am I afraid of ill health? Like, am I a germaphobe? Do I carry around Germ-X constantly? And if it's you, hey, I'm not dogging on you. I have my own fears, right? I'm fear of criticism, and I have some poverty fear in there too. I don't have the fear of ill health that much, but this is a real one. And like, we should all really sit in here and analyze.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
So it actually does talk about in this book, where it's discussing the fear of ill health. And if you pull open your drawer and you have all these medications that are mental medications, even some physical, each of these meds, you can't even describe or explain, let alone pronounce. You can't even pronounce the different ingredients in it and the side effects that they have.
The side effects are worse than the treatment, it seems like.
And let's say you have 10 different pill bottles and they all just mix with each other, different side effects, this and that. All of a sudden you got this concoction of God knows what's in there, and you can't even think straight.
Yeah.
Like that's a scary deal. So.
And I feel like a lot of these things they're unsettling. Like it's not fun to admit that you have ADHD or diabetes or anxiety and like all of these depression, these things that cripple us. But if we just imagine if you took the time to realize, why do I have anxiety? Like what in my life is causing me anxiety? What in my life is causing me depression? What is it? You know? Instead of masking it with pills and medication. Really deep dive in, because unfortunately, I don't think any doctor can tell you this is what's wrong with you and this magic pill will fix it. No, I think we really got to look inside of ourselves and inside of our soul to find the answers and the true solution.
That makes a lot of sense. This thing inside of our head called a brain is like the most powerful thing that exists in mankind. I want to say there was where they researched the human brain and all the connections and neurons in there, and they found that it was the number one to fifth in the following 15 million decibels. 15 million zeros. That's how many connections.
15
million
million
zeros. So
Holy
when we
moly.
have these kind of mental diseases and things like that, it is going to be difficult to go down and deep dive what you're talking, like really say, why do I have anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
Like am I scared of being poor? Am I scared of ill health? Am I scared of this, scared of that? And what are my habits like? Am I waking up late? Am I eating a bunch of sugar and I'm eating crap food that's not good for my body? And I mean, you got to really dive into your brain. What I'm saying here is it's going to be tough, but it's going to be so worth it because when you just throw pills at it, you're masking it
just
and you
masks
can't
it.
think straight. Yeah. And it makes worse
Yeah.
side effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and domino effects for other diseases that you may or may not want. Like, it just seems like it's not the way to go, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a rough life.
That is.
So the next one is the fear of loss of love. And if anybody listening and this strikes a chord with them, I feel for you because I guess I resonate with this one too. It's like sometimes, for instance, I'll look at my child and be like, "Oh my gosh, she's so awesome. I love her so much." And then all of a sudden, this fear sinks in. Like, what if somebody stole her? What if she got sick? What if she got hit by a car crossing the street? What if I drop her off at school and X, Y, and Z? And all these, like, all of a sudden, horrible things just start to fill me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like crippling. And it robs you of your joy. Like, it robs me of the moment, just looking at her and embracing her and laughing and giggling with her. And all of a sudden, in my own head, I've just robbed myself of this beautiful moment.
And you're overcome with fear now for something that likely will not happen. I mean, death is inevitable. It will happen, but it's not, I don't think it's our duty to focus on it and to concentrate it. Like, it breaks my heart knowing that someday that you can go before I do, and I'd have to live through that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But thinking about it now and dwelling on those moments now is not serving me. And in fact, it's robbing time and peace from me. That, yeah, it's not good.
Just looking at you, I see that you have like tears welling up in your eyes because like you've clearly that resonates with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just takes away your moment, it takes away your peace and your happiness.
It really does.
And it's a sad deal. I think a lot of people suffer from that.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's an imaginary thing.
Right.
It's because we're fed a lot of crap in the media and murder stories and all this stuff that's on TV. The reality is like that they get paid to spread garbage and negativity.
Fear sells.
Fear sells, man.
Fear and sex, they sell.
It does. It definitely does. So for those listening that suffer from that fear, that's something that's a hard one to get past, but it's definitely robbing you of your joy and of the loved ones around you.
Somebody great, and I don't know who it is, but somebody great once said this: it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
Mm-hmm.
And man, what a powerful message, right? And that could go for your spouse, your children, your grandparents, your neighbor. Like, we're supposed to love one another. It's a human connection that we're supposed to have. And COVID has taught us that when everybody, like, we just wanted to go out and hug people again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're meant to be in connection with other people and love on people. And it's better to have loved and lost rather than to have not loved at all.
Mm-hmm. And love comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how many loves have we had from high school up until our marriage and or lost, and then they've come and they go, right?
Yeah.
And you were in love, and if you ever think back about your high school sweetheart, that was a different kind of love.
Mm-hmm.
Than you have for, say, your current spouse. And that's a different kind of love for your parents.
Yeah.
And that's a different kind of love from your children. And that's a different kind of love from your boy, your bro, your homies, your girls, your sisters. They're different loves. and they come and they go. And usually with no warning when they leave, especially if somebody passes away.
Yeah.
You get that phone call. Like, I'm terrified of that.
Yeah.
There are days where you drive and you leave in our vehicle, and I'll be like, just all of a sudden overwhelmed with, what if she gets in a car accident? What if and the truth is, could it happen? Maybe. But to sit there and dwell on it.
It ruins your entire day. It
ruins your life.
It ruins, well, yeah, but even if you just look at how much time and energy is spent thinking about the fear of losing someone, like you can lose your entire life doing that. And is that necessary? Is that what God wants? No.
Love each other.
Yes.
Enjoy the moments, and just be there, be present. Like there's times where you and I and Addie will be doing something at a park or something, and I will just have to pause myself mentally, say, Eric, just pause, almost snap a photo in your eyes, just picture this moment, be there, be present, smell the smells, take in the sounds. That's hard. It's hard to do though. But you have to focus on the positivity. If there's one thing we're hitting, like hammering home, beating a dead horse, focus on faith. Focus on positivity, focus on possibility. And if you start to find yourself being more negative than positive, like 75% of the time I have a negative mindset and the other 20, it's okay. I think inherently that's normal, unfortunately, because that's what we're fed. Negativity sells, fear sells.
First of all, get off of social media.
Yeah.
Turn off the news channels. Shut out all of the crap that's feeding you negative doomsday.
Look at your closest 5 people too.
Yes.
Look at the people closest to you. What kind of mindset and mentality are they feeding your fire, or are they pissing on it?
Yeah.
Right. And that's a hard thing to do. Sometimes you got to let go of friends. Sometimes it's family. Sometimes it's family, and but your purpose and your peace of mind and your health is much more important than just feeding their ego and spending time with them just cause. So, yeah.
So the next one is fear of old age. Whew. Do you want to talk to my eye cream drawer?
Yeah, these expensive eye creams to try to get rid of the crow's feet.
Yep, the boob jobs, the liposuctions, anything that's trying to preserve you. Dyeing your hair to hide the grays.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with that one. I'm turning 30 this year, and I've got more grays, and I think I've got over 30 grays at any given time.
Yeah.
But I want to embrace them. I'm struggling with it because I know that it's just a reminder that I'm getting old. But I want to embrace it, and I want to appreciate it, because you know what? That means that I've lived life.
Right. And if somebody's listening and thinking, oh, I don't have that. I don't have what Kate's saying. Well, how about I hear these all the time. Oh, my back hurts. I'm getting old. Oh, my knees hurt. Getting old. Getting old. Getting old. I hear that phrase all the time. In fact, I say it too to fit in sometimes.
Yeah.
But then I catch myself nope, that's a bullcrap thing that I'm just telling myself.
And if you tell yourself that, then you're going to feel it. Yes.
That's a hard one to come to grips with and face, because I think a lot of us have that, oh, I'm getting old, or losing my mind, I'm getting old, can't find my keys, I'm getting old.
Right.
But the true reality is most men and women don't find their way or really mature, whether it be in their job, their business, or whatever, until they're past their 40. There's a study in here that talks about humans do not reach their full potential until they're past their 40s. That's when the Henry Fords come in. That's when the Theodore Roosevelts, these great people they didn't really make their mark on Earth until they're in their 40s. Edison, all these guys, or even past that.
Yeah.
So a lot of these youngsters that's listening to this thinking, oh crap, I'm 35, I still don't have my crap together. You got time.
Yeah.
You got time. And if you're past that, and you still have time.
But you have to make a decision.
Age is a number.
Yep. Yeah, and age is just a number. There are 90-year-olds who do marathons, triathlons, who do all of these crazy things. I wouldn't think a 90-year-old would be able to do that kind of stuff, but they're out there doing it because they don't believe the lie of, oh, I'm just old and my body hurts and all of this stuff. No, they take care of themselves, and they say, well, I can do this. I love swimming. I love triathlons. I love bicycling. And they just do something. Yeah, they're not afraid of getting old.
Yeah.
I
You
love
even
that.
said it too. I can do this. Who was that? Was it Ford? That said whether man thinks he can or cannot, he is right.
Yes.
Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah. Let that sink in.
Get that tattooed on our foreheads.
Yes.
Faith or fear, baby. All right.
Faith or fear.
Let's keep going. This is the final one and possibly one of the biggest ones. The fear of death.
Can we just get something out?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to die.
Everybody's headed
We
to the
are
grave.
all going to die.
Yep.
So what are we scared of?
I don't know. That's not a big one that I suffer from right now.
Yeah.
But maybe as I age, I might get a little more afraid of death. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that's a big one.
It is a big one. I feel like the sooner that you could come to terms of it, though, like death will happen whether you want to or not. And it is just come to terms to that, and then also be the captain of your ship and say, I'm not going to be afraid of death because I know it's going to come, and why worry about it now?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know when you're going to die. No one knows when they're going to die.
Right. I think maybe somebody who is lacking in their faith, their spiritual faith, whether they believe in God or they're unsure or they're still, because we go through these journeys, sometimes we're really strong in our faith and other times we're not. I think the fear of death is much more prevalent in that regard. If you have no belief of where you go, if you're like, I don't believe in heaven, I don't believe in hell, I'm just going to go into the ground. That's kind of a scary thing. Or and vice versa, if you're afraid of hell, because a lot of us are raised being afraid. If you don't go to church, you're going to hell, a fiery pit forever where you're gnashing teeth. Eternity. Yeah. And they scare us into being afraid of death.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's so true.
And so that's kind of the fire and brimstone. That's how a lot of, I don't want to call out one specific religion, but that's how a lot of them go, with this fire and brimstone. Like God is a wrathful person, and if you screw up, he's gonna show his wrath on you.
Light your ass up.
He's gonna light you up. But if you really read the Bible, that's in the Old Testament. That's in there. But the New Testament talks about a new age. Like Jesus comes and washes away the sins, and God promises to never do that again, never be wrathful, and wash away the entire earth in a flood. Like he loves us, and so not to get too spiritual on that regard, but
I think it's important too, though. So I mean, if you are struggling with fear of death, why is it? Is it because you're afraid where you're going to go after life? I mean, that's an excellent point. I never thought about that because our faith is so solid on God that I didn't resonate with that until you just brought that up, and then I thought, oh man, I was so afraid of going to hell growing up, because the way that most religion does it is, hey, it's either heaven or hell. You better follow God. Otherwise, you're going to burn in hell for eternity.
And which one was more powerful? Okay, because right now we're at a crossroads. Faith or fear?
Yes.
Which one ran you? Which one drove you?
Oh, boy.
Fear.
Yeah.
Right? Like we were more driven by fear than we were by faith. And
it didn't stop me from sinning and doing things that I wasn't supposed to do.
I know,
but it still controlled me, though. Like it really had its teeth sunk into me of fear of death and fear of hell.
More than the faith of the positive side.
Right.
Because, negativity for whatever reason.
But ever since
powerful.
We became true believers, I guess, really like of Christianity, knowing that God sent his one and only Son, that whoever shall believe in him shall have eternal life.
Yeah.
So I feel like once we accepted Christ like as our Savior, and I had this overwhelming peace of mind knowing that, oh man, like I'm so loved that he was willing to sacrifice his son for me. And as a mother, now that just gets me, I think about that from time to time.
Like for your kids, will you lay down your life for your kids?
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, if for somebody that's still going through this this life trying to figure out if God's real and all that. The scientific side, I think one thing that a lot of people get caught up in is always they religion and science, they contradict one another. Now, I'm not saying I know everything about everything, but I can say that science says all energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just there. It's energy, right? So when we die, that energy is transformed into something. It moves. It doesn't just go away, right? So science says energy is not created nor destroyed. If our bodies are energy, and when we pass, it gets transformed. It goes somewhere. Something happens to it. We can agree to that. So I urge you to really start to explore a little bit. Don't just think we die and that's it. We die and nothing happens, because science doesn't even say that.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens to our energy. It goes somewhere. I believe it goes to God, or
to
one
heaven
of the
or
two.
hell.
Heaven or hell.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so they don't necessarily contradict each other in that regard.
Right.
Something happens to us. And which one are you going to let run you? Are you going to be afraid? Are you going to run in fear? Are you going to live your life in fear? Because I can tell you that's a crap hole. That ends in depression, poverty, a lot of bad things. Or are you going to live in faith and really go for it? Like, believe. Believe in what you can't see. Because I know electrons are real. Do I see them? No. I know $1 million is real. Have I ever seen it? No. I know God's real. Have I seen him? No, but I've felt him.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that choice. That's a big discussion, but that's a really big thing to think about.
And that is the reason why we have it. I mean, that's why.
Faith or fear.
That's our logo. Faith or fear is the Dream Chasers. That's
our motto.
That's our motto. Sorry, not our logo.
Yep. So, boom. Hopefully this has been a kind of an eye-opener or something to ponder, at least.
Yeah.
We talk about this constantly, guys. It's really crazy, because when we're just sitting around there, especially when our daughter goes down at night and we have time to really discuss and hang out with each other as a husband and wife, we talk about fear and faith.
Yes.
Constantly. And it's not always religion. Most of the time it's like, hey, I'm scared of doing this new business venture, but damn it, I've got some faith. I think I can do this. I think I can handle this. I think this could be a success. If I don't let the fear of criticism overcome me, if I don't let the fear of taking out a business loan, because debt, poverty. Yeah, if I don't have the fear of ill health, all of these fears, there's 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
So ponder on it.
Yeah. Really take inventory of the thoughts in your head. I always called it the roommate in your head. Because sometimes, she just starts talking. I'm like, that doesn't sound like me. Well, it's because she's a chatterbox.
Yeah.
She never shuts up.
And if you don't feed her, that's another thing too I forgot to bring up. If you don't feed that voice in your head with something of substance that's helpful,
yeah.
Again, it's energy's like a vacuum. Where there's a void of positivity, negativity will be sucked in there. Mm-hmm. If you don't feed your mind with healthy things, it will just soak up whatever's around it. And what's around it mostly is negative.
Yeah.
What's around it is the news, where turmoil and the sky's falling. Mm-hmm. Social media, your close friends and relatives that are suffering. They'll just suck that in like a sponge. So you gotta really focus on feeding it positive and healthy things.
Yeah. All right. So these are the 6 basic fears that we all struggle with, whether you resonate with one more than the other or struggle with all 6 of them. I think it's important to be aware of the fear so we can look at the negativity, do a 180 and look at the positivity, go towards the light. So you have one choice, faith or fear.
Also, if you guys are enjoying the show, please share it with people. We have faith that you will. Because guess what? We can't make this show a success by ourselves. Kate and I just rambling at each other all day. No, we need awesome listeners and supporters like you guys. So we have faith that you'll help spread this, help share it. Let's spread some positivity and some faith in this world of fear.